This is Paul. Yeah. You know, a physician is somebody that practices medicine. Yeah. And in Matthew 9:12, yes, there's this concept of how effective is the medicine that you're receiving. A lot of people like to doctor themselves, and I don't really think you should. But let's say that you did do it just the way that I said, that somebody's there to make sure they turn the oxygen down when you pass out. Right. And they can go to sleep. You'll be fine. You won't have any breathing problems, and use an oxygen generator. A lot of persons that have emphysema or other breathing problems, they have these little machines, right? And you you realize that to cause a fever, right, makes the other medicine more effective in when it's prescribed. Yeah. Now, I think that somebody's been putting shit in the food. Yes. And they thought, well, we're just going to dog the population, and we're going to feed them dog food or lizard food, or we'll put a little snake in the food supply so they all, how do you get it out of you when they do that? So it's important that you have a friend there, so that you measure exactly the right amount of grain alcohol, zero point 0.3 to 0.33. Yes, because it'll cause you to pass out. You'll be somewhat unconscious. You won't be able to wake yourself up. It's just like being drunk to the point that you can't wake up. Yeah. So you want somebody to be there to protect you, to make sure that nothing happens. And of course, if something did happen, they could just call an ambulance and say the person got drunk. Now, there's, well, when you doctor yourself, yeah, it makes the other medicines ineffective at fighting disease and illness. And for every physician that thinks about, well, maybe you should have a health treatment before I prescribe anything, because you've been doctoring yourselves for so long. Now, Matthew 9, and he entered into a ship and passed over and came into his own city. And behold, they brought to him a man sick of the palsy, lying on a bed. And Jesus, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, thy sins be forgiven thee. And behold, certain of the scribes said within themselves, This man blasphemeth. Yeah. And Jesus, knowing their hearts, said, Wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? Why are you always thinking evil? For whether it is easier to say, Thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, Arise and walk. But that you may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins, then saith he to the sick of the palsy, Arise, take up thy bed, and go into thy house. Verse 7, And he rose and departed to his house. But when the multitude saw it, they marveled and glorified God, which had given such power unto men. And as Jesus passed forth from thence, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of a custom. And he saith unto him, Follow me. And he rose and he followed him. As it came to pass, as Jesus sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, Why eateth your master with publicans and sinners? But when Jesus heard that, he said unto them, They that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. Now, did you ever think of yourself as sick? Not just a head cold or a flu. Sick in the head, as in, well, we're going to go this way and we're going to seed the population. We're going to be on them, we're going to control them, and we're going to mutate them because we decided. Do you have a sickness that has been caused because of your use of the sexual nerve endings to come the money. Now, for those of you that thought that being in the lizard family coughing up the money, it could be that some Masons are upset with me today. But as an American citizen, I think it's my right and responsibility. I take it as a responsibility more than a right to inform each and every individual in this nation that when you make yourself sick, I want you to be healed. See, let's say you're Mormon and you decide to put some shit in the food so that you could be on me. Yes. And you think that it's necessary that we should all be Mormons. I think you're sick. You're sick in your head. Now, let's say you're in the Masons. Yes. You're an Illuminatist. You put a lizard in your ass so that you can be on them. Yeah. You are sick. Sick in your head. And then the top secret come to find out family that's going to come around. You had sex with something that's not quite human, and the truth is it's caused a sickness. You decided that you had to have a dog so that you could be in the top secret family, and you were going to use the dog to be on the population, and it caused you to get a sickness. Yes. How do you get rid of the sickness? You're sick. Now, I think I do have a responsibility that for every citizen that I can influence about sickness, the payroll, it's a sickness. The family, you're sick. And every citizen of the United States has the right, yes, to be healthy, yeah, and the responsibility to make sure that if you're in law enforcement and you're putting shit in the food supply, you're a very sick person. Now, I know you thought we were going the way of the sickness, where you thought everything that was important was coming to find out. You were going to eat yourself on every person. You were going to pick yourself on every person. You were going to take over the nation and cause a nation. Oh, I have a responsibility as a citizen of the United States, yes, to remove any and all sicknesses that might be in the minds and the bodies of Americans. Now, I know you might disagree, but the truth of the matter is, if you have a sickness, right, why would you want, you're sick? You're sick in your heads. Now, today, it's